The Dallas Mavericks defeated the Minnesota Timberwolves 109-108 to take game 2 of the series. The Mavericks are now up 2-0 and they will head back to Dallas for game 3 and 4. This game was another thriller. I really enjoyed this game from start to finish. It was exciting. Granted, this series looks like it's going to end real early. If things keep on going the way it's proceeding for Dallas, they could potentially sweep the Wolves or win this series in 5 games. It's looking very bleak right now for the Timberwolves. But these 2 games have been amazing, especially in the clutch situations, just clutch time, seeing how Kyrie, Luka has performed at a ridiculously high level in the clutch. It's been exciting to watch, and I'm a neutral fan. I'm not a fan of either team, so I've been enjoying this. It's been impressive. The way this game started out, you would think that Minnesota was going to win this game. It had the makings of a typical game 2 where the home team loses game 1 and then they win game 2 by big margin to reestablish themselves in the series. It looked promising for a while. Anthony Edwards was playing aggressive earlier in this game. He was getting to the free throw line. He was attacking the basket. It looked really promising. And Karl Anthony Towns was also playing aggressive in the paint, getting easy buckets at the start. They were just establishing their inside game. The Wolves were crashing the boards, getting second chance opportunities. Kyrie was playing terrible at the start of this game. He was struggling and he looked like he wasn't into it. He was taken out by their defense. Going into, I would say, halftime, they had like a double digit lead. And I think in the third quarter, they were up by like 17 or 18 at one point in time. So you're thinking like, all right, Timberwolves are going to win this game, but Dallas held strong. They rallied back. They got a stretch of defensive stops that brought them back into this game. That was impressive to see. I would say also the other thing to take note of is that Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns was pure trash in the second half of this game. They were both terrible. Karl Anthony Towns ended up finishing the game 4 of 16 shooting. And in his situation, he was so bad in that fourth quarter that the Timberwolves coach decided to play Naz Reid in his place for pretty much the whole entire fourth quarter. Naz Reid was hot in this game. He shot 7 of 9 from 3, 8 of 13 from the field, and ended up with 23 points, which you can't fault Coach Finch for doing what he did. That was a great decision. That kept them in the game, to be honest. I felt Naz Reid and Michael Conley played way above their head in this game. And if it wasn't for those 2 guys, I think Minnesota probably would have lost this game by like 10 or 12 points. Those guys played incredible. They played huge to make up for their star players not playing well in Cat and Anthony Edwards. Now, I'll give Anthony Edwards credit down the stretch in the clutch in the final few minutes of the game. He was hitting his free throws, which may seem like a little thing, but it's a big thing because a lot of guys in these pressure situations will miss free throws, but he attacked the basket a few times and he hit all his free throws, so I got to give him credit for that. I thought even the right play he made was I thought even the last play he made of the game when they were down just by, I believe, 1 point to pass the ball to Naz Reid, who was open for a split second for a 3, was a great decision. You go with a hot hand in that situation. Plenty times on championship teams, the star players passed open to the wide role player. Just look at all the moments Robert Horry hit game-winning threes for the Lakers, and he played with guys like Kobe and Shaq, and later on Tim Duncan. And you've seen these other moments in NBA history where the role players have been clutch in situations off of the attention the star players generate. So that was a great play by Anthony Edwards. I definitely won't knock him for that. Could he have taken the shot? Sure, but he found Nas for even a better shot, and everyone thought that was going to go in, but it didn't. Now we got to talk about Luka. This guy is insanely clutch. My God, this guy just was amazing in this game down the stretch, hitting clutch shots. And having the balls to isolate Rudy Gobert on top of the key behind the 3-point line, that was just straight up silly. I'm going to say he made Rudy Gobert look silly. That was like straight out of the playground when you're at the park, just when you ISO a guy. Just that was fun. Just the way he just clowned him with all his crossovers and then hitting that three in his face to win the game. Just wow, straight up wow. That is one of the greatest clutch game winning shots I've seen in my whole entire life. Just the way he straight up clowned him. Definitely a memorable play. Will be memorable for years to come, regardless of who wins this series. Just amazing. Just I had to laugh at this. Now, if you're Minnesota, you have to feel really bad going to Dallas now because Dallas has looked like the better team these first two games. Just they have rallied back in both games, I believe, just when they were down and established themselves. It just seems like when Minnesota's kicking them down, they're going to come back like they're Michael Myers or somebody just out of a movie, and they do. It's like they come back with even more force and energy and determination, and they have like this belief and confidence that they can beat Minnesota if they're down by 20 or if they're down by 1 in the clutch. Just it doesn't matter that they're always going to win. That confidence seems unshakable right now. So you have to be concerned if you're Minnesota in game 3, they need better games from Cat and Anthony Edwards. Both those guys have not played well in this series. They have to play so much better. You also can't expect the Timberwolves role players like Naz Reid and Conley to continue to play at this ridiculously high level. Granted, Naz Reid was sixth man of the year, but you can't expect him to continue to shoot like he's like Steph Curry out there, just hitting threes at a ridiculously high rate. Granted, he was a good three-point shooter during a regular season, but 7 of 9, I don't think he can keep replicating that stuff. That's why they're going to need both those guys to play so much better. Karl Anthony has to do a better job of establishing himself in the paint. He was doing that at the start of the game, and then he stopped doing it, and just things went downhill from there. So this series looks like Dallas is going to win it. I had predicted before the series started that they were going to win 6, so I could be wrong even about that prediction, but we'll see. Game 3 will be very telling in Dallas. These playoffs have been very strange. Anything can happen. For example, we all thought Minnesota was going to take out the Nuggets in like 4 or 5 games after they won the first 2 games in Denver, and that series went all the way to 7. So who knows? We'll see what happens on Sunday. It will be very, very entertaining. So I'm looking forward to it. That's all I have to say.